So, the story of the spiritual warrior. The story of the spiritual warrior was born about, I'd say, 4 years ago or so. I was at a transition period in my life, and I was with a guy who was a good guy. wasn't for me. It sounded a lot uglier back then, but now later, just wasn't the guy for me. And he was a good guy. He actually got me thinking on a lot of things, about life and about purpose and passion. And at that point that I met him, I thought that I had figured these things out already. I met him when I was 23. At 23, I already, was living in my second apartment with my best friend, had a master's degree. I thought I was the shit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I felt really good about, what I accomplished in being 23 at the time. So, I felt like I brought a lot to the table, and me and him, we clashed at times over it. And eventually we broke up. But right before we broke up, my best friend, who has been my best friend since I was 17 years old, she knows all my deepest, darkest, has seen me through a lot of hard times, and vice versa. This is my man's pots and pans. I don't know, but it's my man's pots and pans. So at the time that me and him were about to break up, my best friend, she started talking to a new guy. Good guy, great guy, still with the guy, love the guy. Really a guy for her, which I think was even more of a thing for me. So she starts talking to this guy, and as transitions happen, as my relationship is going down, her relationship is going up in an amazing way, and really in a way that I think was hugely beneficial for me to see, because it taught me a lot about relationships and the function of relationships and all those things. So during that transition period, it was a struggle, because me and my best friend, there's no other way to say it, we had a really codependent relationship from the time of being teenagers into our early 20s. Even though we had friends outside of each other, we knew, like, at the end of the day, me and you, we in this thing. We always had that understanding. So when she kind of started to drift, especially at a time where I'm heartbroken, I thought I was gonna marry this guy, and all my friends were like, oh, we love him, and nobody really knew what was going on between me and him, because I'm not the type of person who, if something's going wrong in a relationship, you go out and spread it and talk to everybody, and that's not me. I've always kind of been to myself about those things. So at the time we had to break up, of course, there was a lot of people asked questions, yada yada yada. I was hurt in my bag and my feelings. But looking back on it, well, I was hurt in my bag and my feelings. That was one thing. But on a whole other side was my best friend, who I'm not spending as much time with. We're just not, anytime we do get together, she's talking about this guy, and I'm like, my heart is broken. Why are you sitting here talking about this guy? I'm not gonna lie, I was surly as shit. Like, I was surly. I'll say that. I behaved in ways that, looking back, I'm not proud of, and it's cool to say now. I'm sure we all had those moments. You know that you did something that wasn't cool. You came back, but at the end of the day, we're still best friends. It's still cool. So, in the time that I was in my feelings and she was falling in love, which is a beautiful thing. At the time I was in my feelings, I remember that I was home alone a lot. I was alone a lot, and I wasn't used to being just alone, because it had been me and her for so long. Since I was 17, we went to college together. We were college roommates. We got our first apartment together. Like, that's my sister. So I wasn't really used to functioning, honestly, in adult life. And mind you, I'm 25 at this point. I wasn't used to being an adult really without my best friend. So this is the first time in my adult years that, you know, I don't really have the support from her, which is a major support in my life. So I was alone a lot. And I remember they went on a trip. I don't know where they went, like Costa Rica or something like that. So I don't know, they be traveling. They get it in. They travel. So they were coming back from Costa Rica, I think it was. And I had been by myself for a while, probably, you know, a week and a half. And I remember she came in, it was like the middle of the night, and she woke me up because she was home. She was like, "Hey, I'm home," yada yada yada. And I'm talking to her, and at this point I'm emotionally messed up. Like I have a lot of things going on in my head at that point. You know, I'm just a lot of things, like not feeling good enough, not even feeling good enough for my best friend. I felt like a hater, which that is just against. It's against. I felt like a hater. I didn't feel like a hater. I was behaving like a hater, for real. And she woke me up, and we had a real short conversation. And I remember her saying that she was leaving. And I'm like, "Well, where are you going?" She's like, "Well, I'm going back to, you know, the guy's house and yada yada yada." And I broke down. Like, I totally broke down. Like, I just cried and she's like, she just known me since I was a kid, so, you know, she knew that I was feeling some type of way, and she knew I was feeling some type of way about the whole situation, about not being, you know, no longer being in a relationship, her not being there, yada yada yada. And she handled it with a true grace, as my best friend does. That's her. She has a incredible capacity for love, and I feel grateful that I've been able to not take advantage, but I've been able to share in that for so many years, because she's a natural nurturer. So she knew it was something up, and she was getting tired of my shit. No, she was definitely getting tired. She like, "I want you to be happy for me, yada yada." And I got it. It was cool. So I broke down. And I remember that night saying to her, "I just have to be good enough for myself." And what I was really saying in that moment was, I was tired of trying to find validation in other people, other things. Well, I can't even say validation from other people through doing other things. And I didn't realize that was something that I was necessarily doing until it came to a head that there was nobody there to validate me anymore. Really, she was really the last person who validated me for me. Not the surface things, you know, we all have surface things where we're like, "Oh, well, I only want to show you this, this, and this," and just like those things. And she was a person who really knew who does. She's a person who really knows me. So for her to no longer validate me, I was hurt. Like, I was hurt. I was in a bad way. So I remember saying, I need to be good enough for myself. And that was a life-changing moment. It was 2015, and I just remember there being a shift in that moment. And I prayed. I prayed. And I literally at some point, you know, dropped to my knees. This is after, because me and the ex, we probably rekindled about 6 months later. 3 months after we rekindled, we realized that, yeah, we will in fact kill each other. So I knew in both the absence of him now, who's also somebody there who validated me, through her no longer being there and validated me, that I was going to need some help. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with needing help. I prayed a lot, but not only did I pray, I watched YouTube. I watched different people on YouTube who gave different perspectives about different things, and I opened my mind up to different things, and I allowed for my mind to be shifted and molded and twisted in different directions to really come to some clarity in my life. And like I said, totally life-changing. I remember it in October 2015. I can't give you the exact date, not because it's a secret, because I don't know. But on October 2015, I dropped to my knees and I prayed and I surrendered. Literally like this. I dropped to my knees and I surrendered. And I said, God, this is going to be a lot for me because at this point, I already know where I'm at. Like, I started having issues like with the absence and everything probably in February, might be late January 2015. So I'm battling up to October. We're at October now. At this point, me and my best friend have been fought. Me and my ex are done, and it's cut. So in October 2015, gave it up to God. I had reached my limit. Everything that I could think of, I had, for the good and bad, I had tried, and I was coming up with nothing. So I gave it up to God. Once I did that, my perspective began to shift a lot. And one of the things that I did for that, while I was shifting, and I started feeling creative. That's another thing. When you get more into, alignment of who you are, and you get a lot of ideas for creation, which is an amazing thing. I personally loved it. I loved it. So the first creative thing I did, I started a blog, and I called my blog Spiritual Warrior. And actually before the blog, I got a hat. So I had this hat. It was like it's a furry hat. I'm gonna pull it out one day. I still have it. I don't use it in the way that I used to, but I still have it. So this is the way that I used it. I was just shopping in the mall one day with my mom and my sister, and we go into the store. I don't even remember what the heck the store was, but I got a fur hat, faux fur. I'm not bone like that. So it was a hat, like fur ears, things. I'll show it one day. But it was dramatic. It was like the most dramatic thing I had ever bought. I don't even really own anything that dramatic or loud. But I had this hat, and when I first put the hat on in the store, my sister says, "Wow, you look like a spiritual warrior." I felt like a spiritual warrior, especially after everything, because that was October 2015. We're in December 2015. That's why we're out shopping, because it was around Christmas. So December 2015, get this hat. She said, "You look like a spiritual warrior." I'm like, shit, I feel like a spiritual warrior, because I've been at this since January 2015. Can anybody see me? Good Lord. Like, it was a lot. So when she said that, it made sense. Something clicked in me, the spiritual warrior part of it. So how I use this hat, I would wear it all the time. I would wear it when I love to wear it. I would wear it when I didn't feel like wearing it. And the times that I didn't feel like wearing it was usually the times that I just wanted to shrink. And I really didn't want anybody to look at me. I wasn't feeling the best. It just, one of those off days, the off days, you just feel like you are in a inner turmoil war type of thing. I didn't want to wear it on those days, because what would happen with this spiritual warrior hat is that people would look at me, people would stare at me, and that was uncomfortable, because that wasn't something I was totally used to, unless I was dressed nicely and I was expecting it, but just not from a hat. And I couldn't really get the intention of why they were staring. It wasn't necessarily, I wasn't sure that it was a good thing, pretty much. So the reason why I kept wearing this hat is because I knew that there was something that was inside of me, and I can't even say developing inside of me, because that's another thing. It's not so much a development as it is a stripping away. It's not, there's really no development. You are perfect. I am perfect. You are perfect as you are supposed to be. You gotta strip away though. We put a lot of stuff on us to try to, I don't know, be more perfect, or be more of an idealistic view of what perfect was. But it wasn't developing, but I was beginning to strip away. And as I began to strip away, I started to get a rawness and clarity. Like, I started just becoming hyper aware of me. I started becoming truly present. I didn't have as many thoughts in my head. I was able to see situations for what they were. I gained a clarity. And every time I put that hat on my head, it was the reminder to be me. It was the reminder that when you go out into this world, don't be that person who needed the validation. Be the person who surrendered. Be the person who's creative. Be the person who's the blogger, because you love being that person, because that person is really you. So once you strip the things away, you start to really reveal the person that you are. And that's what you have to work with. And once you realize what that is, you realize that you have a really freaking full deck. Because things have shifted. You need your mind for things to shift. If your mind is wrapped up in something else, the shift isn't going to happen. You need the clarity. And that's what the hat reminded me to do. It reminded me to remain clear, to remain me, to remain present. Even if people looked, even if people stared, even if people giggled. It didn't matter. And not even didn't matter like, I don't care, F them, forget what they think. I giggled along. I knew the hat looked ridiculous. I did. I know the hat looked ridiculous, but it meant so much more than that. And that's why I put the hat on. I don't wear the hat so much anymore because I have other manifestations and feelings, and just more grounded in knowing. I'm more convinced of the path, and I'm more convinced of the power of alignment and oneness. I'm more convinced of those things. So I don't wear the hat as much anymore to remind myself of those things. So from there, I had a Spiritual Warrior blog, and the Spiritual Warrior blog was really, I went back and read it the other day, and really it's just a fantastic account of what life was like after that moment. And it's great. Like, I wrote a whole blog about the sun, about the beauty of the sun, and missing the sun when it's not there, and just taking note to what the sun is, and the fact that it brings life. Life does not form without sun. People can't live without sun. I had to kick into the sun blog on y'all, but the sun is really magnificent if you think about it. But if you want to read the sun blog, the Spiritual Warrior, I'm gonna find it again. It's out there. Like I said, I read it the other day, so it's definitely still out there, but I'm not sure where to tell you guys to find it. So I wrote the blog. The blog was awesome, and really that was, and now I'm bringing the name back. 2019, really standing in a spiritual warrior position. And the reason why I feel still incredibly connected to the name Spiritual Warrior is because that's what it is. It's you got to be a warrior to do this thing. You know, a lot of times people talk about, you know, peace and mindfulness as this thing. It's like, oh, you meditate and you put music on and all of those things, and you might do yoga. I don't know, but I can't say it's not that, because it is that for some people. But before you get to that point, well, no, I won't do that. I'll keep it on me. Before I got to that point of actually being peaceful and being comfortable within my life and what was going on, I had to fight. Not anyone externally. I had to fight internally. I had to fight myself. I had to battle a lot of beliefs that I had, a lot of people's thoughts and opinions, and well, what will they say? Well, what? And this isn't something from the time of, you know, January 2015 to October 2015. This is my whole life. My whole life I had these battles, and really what 2015 did, it is, I go on record as saying that 2015 was the worst year of my life, but 2015 was the most necessary year of my life, which made it the most incredible year of my life. It was necessary. Did it feel good? Hell no, it didn't feel good. I cried. I just isolated pretty much. I did that a lot. I had a homie who was riding up. I would be remiss not to mention it. She was riding, and I appreciate it. I feel like she was sent during that time, you know, by God to just kind of even things out, because it was tough. It was a tough moment, because the battle, the ferocity of the battle was a lot. And I know that this is a battle that people face on a daily basis. I get that. And I feel like a lot of times when you go into speaking of anything transformative, people kind of make it like, oh, well, you know, just let go and be peaceful. And that's not what it looks like. It looks like a war. It looks like releasing trauma. It looks like hard conversations. It looks like really getting your communication skills to a level that you've never seen yourself communicate at. It's a lot of tears. It's a lot of forgiveness. It's a lot of allowing yourself to be forgiven. It's a lot of forgiving yourself. That path is not an easy path to walk. I'm not going to sit up here and just be like, oh yeah, the spiritual warrior. Just sounds good. No, I gave it that name not only for myself, but for everybody I see go through this process. Everybody I see who, despite everything, continue to dive into their darkness and grow. Because that's all it really is. All it is the capacity to grow. And you can't grow. The only way in or the only way out is the same way in. So you can't just go and do things and think that you're not going to pass by that same messed up thing in order to heal. You're not just going to, it doesn't work that way. You got to go back the other way to heal that thing. And that sucks. It sucks at times. But once you get to the other side of it, that's where the peace lies. That's where the clarity lies. And honestly, there is no greater peace, gift, anything I have ever received than being in alignment with myself. Nothing. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Nothing in this world I would trade it for. Being in alignment with yourself is it's everything. It's everything. And it takes a lot to get there. So I'm not the only spiritual warrior. There's a bunch of spiritual warriors out there. I definitely claim the name because I did the work. If you do the work, claim the name. It feels like war sometimes. It does. It feels like an inner war. And if it feels like an outer war, you're not fighting the right war. This war is not an outside war. This war is an inside war. Once you fight the war inside, there really is no war outside. Either people get down with it or they don't. And you internally are okay with it. So that is the story of the spiritual warrior. Keep going, guys. When it gets rough, expect that it's going to get rough. Expect that, the things that you cried over in your life, whether it be in your childhood, whether it be teenage, any point in your life, the things that you struggle with, the things that you cried about, you are going to have to go back past those things to heal them. You gotta pull the thorn out. That's how you grow. Growth isn't just constantly going for it. That's not growth. Growth is really dealing with the things that have hurt you or that you battle with and overcoming them and healing from them. That is how you properly grow, and that is how you properly earn the title of a spiritual warrior. And believe me, if you're able to do that, no one would love to call you a spiritual warrior more, because I believe in you. I believe in everybody's capacity to live happy lives. I believe in everybody's capacity to grow and love and heal. I believe in that so deeply, which is why I even bothered to do this. So keep growing. It gets hard, but you can do it. Keep growing. I love you guys. Peace.